So hello, everybody, and good evening. It is me, Demetra K, and it is the Demetra K Show. Yes, we are live and in living color and everything like that. I want y'all to know that Donovan said that I look like Sideshow Bob. I would just want y'all to know that. But anyway, this is our live show on Tuesdays. We decided to start going live one more day a week just to give the audience and participants an opportunity to interact with us live. So today we are going to be talking about that of Ja Morant, a basketball player who is dominating the sports world news, and not for a good reason. Of course, I'll get into all of that. I'd like to say a big giant welcome to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You are the other side of the conversation. Again, you are not just viewers, but you are participants. I'm not sure if we'll share the link today, but if somebody wants to come on, just say, hey, throw me a link or whatever. Because we're not normally here that long. We're here about an hour on this particular show. So anyway, we're going to have I guess, a spirited discussion about it. Donovan, what say you?
Hey, you guys, welcome to the show. We're going to be here for about an hour. Do us a favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It helps the algorithm, and also share this on your own platforms. This is a very interesting topic because it really does go into the mindset of our young people nowadays. If I had a $200 million contract plus endorsements, all of my friends that are, in the hood, got to say goodbye to you guys. Got to go. So let's get into it.
Yes, Black America, we are live today on Tuesday evenings. We go live. And so who else is here? Alvin, how you doing? Says, hello, Demetra. I love your hair. Beautiful hairstyles. They inspire me to afros and braids. Yes, indeed. Again, Donovan said that I look like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. So
no, your hairstyle looks like Sideshow Bob. Doesn't mean it's a bad hairstyle. I'm just saying.
Hey, brother, just like because you got a cue ball on top of your head, don't hate. Yes, just because you got to cut your hair with tweezers, don't be mad at me.
Hello, wait, I can just get a lace front, though. I can make it all come out in one day.
Yeah. Hey, Brother Reggie, how you doing? T-Paul, what's going on with you? Yes, Black Americans, I said once again, we are live. Only panelists away, how are you doing? Wendell, what's going on with you? You said, I'm so tired of hearing about this kid. You know what? I am too. And let's see who else came on here. Facts Not Feelings, how you doing? And Jay Joa, what's going on? And Jan Michael, hey. And Tracy, what's up? All right, so let's get into it really quick. Of course, I'm probably preaching to the choir. For those of you guys who watch sports, I do not. Not like that anyway, but I do know how to read. So Ja Morant, he plays for the Memphis Lakers. I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. I'm testing y'all. The Memphis Grizzlies. It sounds like he's about 23 years old. He has, as Donovan said, a very lucrative contract, which pays him almost $40 million a year. Almost $200,000 of what the contract, I guess, is comprised of. Sounds like he is their star player, but he's also very problematic. He's gotten into quite a few things that are questionable. Once upon a time, his mother went to a mall, and I guess she was in a shoe store or something like that. And an employee didn't give her the service I guess she thought she deserved. So she calls her son, Ja, to come up there and handle some things. And he brought his friends up there. And they said that the poor guy, I guess the sales guy in the store, locked himself in a back room for like 30 to 40 minutes until security came and escorted Ja and his friends out. Then it also sounds like they got physical with the security guard. Sounds like there's a lawsuit going on there. Another incident that took place, I guess he was playing basketball outside, maybe at a park or somewhere like that, with a 17-year-old that got into it. Sounds like the 17-year-old kid was physically assaulted. And I'm just going to put allegedly on all of this just to cover myself. And then Ja went into the house and retrieved a gun. Okay. On another incident, it says that, I guess, after Indiana Pacers game, his friends, now it sounds like his same friends are always around and they're the ones in questions, got into it with the security of the Indiana Pacers. And while Ja and his friends were in a SUV, somebody pointed a gun with a red laser into the Indiana Pacers bus. They said they could not prove that it was Ja, so I guess the NBA let it go. Also, of March of this year, and that actually happened in February, March of this year, sounds like he brandished a gun again at a strip club in Colorado, which caused him to be suspended for 8 games, lost about $600,000. Then, he basically said he was going to change. He wasn't going to do it again. He was going to, change the things that he's doing. Then I guess it was on Sunday, he was seen brandishing a gun on his friend's IG. Says that they were listening to NBA Young Boy. I couldn't tell you anything that he sings, raps, or whatever it is he does, but it sounds like the music gets people pretty hyped. So it sounds like he's in big trouble once again with the NBA. Some people are calling for him to be suspended for a very long time, half a season, a whole season. So I guess the NBA is still trying to decide that, unless something is happening between the time that we came on here, what should happen with him. Now, I have a whole lot of opinions about Ja, and the title really is he a lost cause? I have an opinion about that. It should also say that he comes from, sounds like a middle-class household where his mom and dad are both there. His dad has been dragged through the mud a lot, basically saying that he's a fan and he's not really a father figure, a mentor to where he can snatch a knot in his child and tell him to get it together. Sounds like the dad may also be what they call a yes man. You know what that is? Somebody who's afraid to get cut off from the money, the resources, the vacation, the houses, the cars, and all of that. And so sounds like he's in a lot of trouble. So Donovan, what say you? And then I'm going to get you guys' comments.
All right. Again, I want to tell you guys, welcome to the show. Hit that like, share, and subscribe buttons. Get the likes up. We're only here for an hour. Very, very problematic. And let's preface that with this. Here's a young man who has a family of his own. He has a young child himself. I don't think he's married, but he has a little girlfriend, whatever. He was raised in a 2-parent home. 2 parents, okay? Went to private school. I myself went to private school. But yet this young man wants to identify with the streets. Number one problem that I have right there, Demetra says it all the time. If your children are looking to other things in the streets than rather than you as the parents, as a role model, the problem is the parents. We're raising a generation of kids, in my opinion, that are followers. Propaganda is strong. You notice I've been saying that recently because it's true. The propaganda is strong. I want you guys to think about this. You were offered a $200 million contract to play a sport, not a high-flying job, not something that takes a lot of technical brain thinking and stuff. It's a sport. It's a game. Plus endorsements and a shoe deal. I believe he had a shoe deal that was canceled from the last incident. They gave him grace, gave him a warning. He was suspended for 8 games. Then you turn around and do it again? You guys tell me, what would you do if your child did what this man has done? That type of money, $200,000, you could have a gun. Everybody could have a gun, but there comes a time and a place. Everybody's talking about, well, his freedom, his Second Amendment rights, whatever. The NBA is a private entity. They have a right to make the rules of how they see it. You're tarnishing their brand and all of that. And you guys got to remember, Ja Morant is a very small guy. He's about my size, maybe 2 inches or so higher than me. He plays at a high level. When you play at a high level like he does, his career is not going to last that long. And those of you guys that are like sports guys like me that kind of know a little bit about sports, when a guy plays with that type of impact, they're not going to last long. Injuries are going to pile up and all that other stuff. He's high flying now because he's young and strong and doing all that, but he's not going to last long. He's walking away from $200 million. I would slap that kid in the mouth to identify with the streets. What rappers talk about and all this other stuff, it's not real. Snoop was not a real gangster. He was not a real gangster. He was not a real gangster. He was not a real gangster. Going to juvenile hall is not gangster. I'm sorry.
Yes, he was.
He was not a real gangster.
Yes, he was.
He was not.
What was you running around with him?
You doggone right. I would no. I was on the other side. No, but what I'm saying is when I'm saying about being a real gangster, a lot of stuff that these rappers talk about, they're not actually doing. They're not actually doing. At least in our day, they weren't actually doing. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in a bunch of movies. He's killing 60 people, but he's not really doing that in real life. So to me, this is another example of ignorance within our community. $200 million sitting there. All you got to do is play a game, and you want to run around with guns. Stupid.
Hello, King of Sorrows. How are you doing? He says, Ja got a lot of injuries now. Oh, does he? Okay, he's very young. I want to bring this up, and I put the link in there if you guys want to come on briefly, give your opinion about it. Give your opinion about it, whatever. I'd love to hear what you guys got to say. Of course, let's just be brief because we're gonna try to be here about an hour. But Black America, I love that you brought up Allen Iverson. Of course, we know what happened with him. One of the greatest to ever do it. A lot of money was squandered, opportunities and things like that. Because he too sounded like he had a friend problem, if you will. But the fortunate thing about Allen Iverson is, who was it that he made the deal with? Reebok, I think it was, to where after a certain amount of time, he'll realize about $30 million. So, that's kind of a saving grace. But yeah, a lot of money and potential wasted due to hanging out with the homies, right? Yeah, and Snoop was in the streets for real. That's why I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Donovan?
No, he wasn't. What I'm talking about, when he was rapping, he wasn't doing that stuff.
Yeah, murder was the case that they gave me.
Yes.
Come on, man.
No, we're talking about, though, we know that part of it. What I'm saying is when he started making money as a star, he wasn't in the streets.
That's why I know you don't know about Snoop, because Snoop was in the streets even when he was a star. But a couple of years back, he said, I'm gonna have to stop. And Black America could tell you I'm not lying. He said, I got to stop because the homies would always want to hem him up for, money, cars and stuff. And when he cut him off, they kind of had to put a hit out on him. And so he was like, I'm done with y'all. For real. So,
right. Now, but how old was he when he did that, though?
That wasn't no more than maybe 15 years ago. And
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. When he was a little bit more mature and making money, he was a known rapper. That's what I'm talking about.
In his 40s.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Donovan, just take the L on this.
Just take the L. Going to juvenile hall is not gangster, but go ahead.
Did you know that man was facing a murder rap?
Yeah, that his bodyguard did for him.
They found him not guilty.
Right. Remember, I'm from 50th and 73rd Street, so come on now.
We ain't talking about Fontana, okay? Mike, make sure this is.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind, briefly?
Just came home from California.
I'm going back there next week.
Oh my gosh. Ooh. You're right, Donovan. The pace in Los Angeles is, oh my gosh, huge. Streets are wide. It's almost impossible to navigate, but there are a lot of travel in California anyway. So
did you enjoy all our homeless that you saw out there?
Yes, Venice Beach. I saw a lot of homeless people in Venice Beach. I mean, I kind of knew, but I was really surprised. Yeah, and then, I'm just speechless.
So what's on your mind? What you got on the topic?
Yeah, so for that, turning down that 200, to be kicked off the team for $200 million, that's a lot of money. That's more than enough to get himself out of poverty and start a business. And I just can't believe, he ruined that opportunity. If he hadn't, I think he would have been like very wealthy, moving, forward. And also in the news, you don't hear Muzungu basketball players. They do get in trouble, but it's very silent. Have you noticed?
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like he's suspended or kicked off of the team just yet. Sounds like they're still trying to figure out what to do with him, since he keeps breaking the rules of the NBA. And of course, a lot of people are saying, well, it's legal to carry a gun in Memphis, which it is. I guess it's open and carry, whatever. But the rules are different in the private organizations such as the NBA. So he has to adhere to what they say to do, right?
Right.
So what is that all?
Yeah, and also yes, and so it's just, man. So I had to tell you. So I was at a Dodgers game, and I saw a lot of Hispanics, a lot, 80%. My gosh, when I saw them, you're right. You mentioned how they don't like to listen to, how they don't like Black Americans, right? And it's very funny. They were listening to Black music, dancing to it, and I find it very ironic, but a little, funny. And I'm like, but yeah, and I just noticed the Hispanics. They appear to be very hostile at the Dodgers game and very enthusiastic, especially when a Hispanic baseball player comes up. They always stand up for him. But when it's like non-Hispanic, they don't stand up. I've noticed from my observation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Michael. So the link is open if y'all want to briefly come on and express your opinion or ask a question or anything like that. Let's see here. Yes, Ja Morant came from a middle class family. Tanaya, how you doing? Says he still has the 193 million, but he will be suspended for about 41 games. He'll says the old commissioner David Stern would have suspended him for a year the first time.
Yeah, because actually his extension actually starts next year, the $200 million. So yeah, 193 is about right. And that's the extension that he signed over, I think it's over a 5-year period or 4-year period. I think it's 4 years, $193 million. Man, I'm not walking away from that kind of money.
Yeah, and it sounds like he could lose, I guess, that extension depending on, what they decide. But I don't know. I'm going to hold my opinions until, we get out of here. But if you guys want to click the link and I'll put it in here. I'll put it in here again. Click the link and come on and briefly express your opinions about it. I would say this. I guess there are a lot of people who are defending him, and saying, oh, he's young and this and that and the other. He really didn't hurt anybody, aside from all the other stuff. And I don't even want to say he's a role model per se, because I think you should be your own children's role model. But I think that there's other people that need our attention. When I say other people, I mean other young boys and young Black men who may not have his money or his stardom and fame, but they have the potential for whatever, maybe not basketball, but something else, because Ja comes from a good family. He's got more money than most people on the earth, and definitely more than most 23-year-olds. And he's got all these endorsements, which seems like it's kind of in a balance now too. He doesn't want that. He wants, I guess, what he's showing everybody. He wants the gangster lifestyle. And as I said, I don't know anything about NBA young boy or nothing like that, but it doesn't sound like he's too positive per se. But is he a lost cause? I don't know. I mean, how many chances should one get? If it was, a regular Joe Schmo, if you will, would he have the opportunities that Ja has to continue doing the thing? Like, let's say on your job, wherever you work, if you keep breaking the policies, are you going to have a bunch of opportunities? I'm trying to mute your mic. Oh, there you go. Are you going to have a bunch of opportunities to keep messing up and they say, okay, well, we're going to give you another chance. We're going to give you another chance. Now, I'm talking about royalty, right? Because a lot of times I worked at a job before. I got written up a bunch of times for being late or whatever. But a regular job ain't going to give you those opportunities. They're going to be like, yeah, you got to go. Black America, what's going on with you?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Donovan, stop playing, man. You never hung out in the streets, bro. Some of these dudes really out here. Hey, never. You never been out in the streets. Some of these dudes were really out in the streets. The difference between what I like to say, the difference between us older generation, like the older rappers, Snoop Dogg, Ice Dre, and even the older basketball players is they got married. Snoop got married in 97, in summer of 97, right? In June.
You kind of cutting out just a little bit, Black America.
Black out, or did you guys black out?
That was you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might be me.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay.
You said Snoop got married in 97.
Yeah, and so he got married when he was younger, and that kind of calmed things down. But bro, he still ride around and in LA and low riders. And I know what you're talking about. He got into all that stuff with Death Row. That's when he went to the South and Master P. He went and started working with Master P for a few years because, like Demetra said, they was kind of angry with him for kind of turning his back on him. He didn't turn his back on him. He just started wising up and started cutting a few people off.
Yeah, and that's what happened, you know, but that's what you need to do though. You need to leave if they not okay, everybody is not going to be as fortunate as LeBron, right? LeBron, I think, has a very special set of circumstances where he aligned himself with his high school buddies and they all are doing great things, right? They weren't like an anchor to him, a hindrance. You know, they're his business team and all kind of stuff, right? So they were an asset. They were not a deficit, and definitely causing him to lose money and respect and all of those things. But like you said, Snoop cut him off. He was like, I can't hang out with y'all no more, you know, because the things that you guys will have me do or be involved with is going to cost me something, you know. And if he didn't, you know, RIP to Nipsey, he could have been a Nipsey or anybody else who was like, okay, I'm trying to help the hood, but you know, the hood is still kind of on the danger side or whatever. So I like Snoop. I don't like all of the things he do. I actually have to unfollow him on Instagram because he posts, a lot of them start to post like really traumatic things, like videos of people getting ran over and stuff. I was like, okay, I don't like seeing all that stuff, but I like Snoop. I like his story because Snoop is the quintessential example of evolution. He came from, as he said, he got married in his jeans to his high school sweetheart, and they have some bumps and stuff like that. But they built an empire. He's evolved, so that's why I really like Snoop. But as far as Ja, I don't know if he wants that. And part of me, I don't like to throw people away, but part of me thinks that he is a lost cause. I mean, some people just that's all they'll ever be. You know, I could be wrong.
I definitely believe in the lost cause narrative. I mean, some people you just can't help. I mean, no matter how much talent or how much they have or have accessible to them, some people are just bad eggs. Some people are just no good. And someone was, you know, his mother calling him up to the shoe store. That's a horrible example of a mother. I mean, let that kid in the store had a gun, he could have laid all of them out. So, I mean, you know, things like that, you know, it's bad. It boths bad for us as a whole, as a people.
See, but here's my question though. We've seen example after example of, like, you know, Black people come from rags to riches, and you make it, you know, be it on your athletic ability or whatever it is, acting or whatever. Then we get to this point, because I don't know if you guys saw the tragic story. Sometimes you'll see like the tragic Hollywood story of, like, let's say some of the actors in Boys in the Hood. Some of those guys really went to prison later on for murders and stuff like that. It was real crazy. But we see all of these examples from way back in the day in the entertainment industry and sports legend and, you know, whatever. And yet, what is it that these kids think it's not going to happen to them? What did Michael Vick get brought down for? Yeah, he knew about the dog fighting and stuff, but that isn't what brought him down. It was his cousins and the people that were actually, you know, there was other people that he associated himself with that brought him down. Now, if I was with Black America and we're riding in the truck, you know, Black America's famous, you know, he's rolling and doing his thing, right? And I know I roll with it. I'm telling all y'all guys, man, I roll with Black America, whatever. See, back in our day, that's all we needed to say. But now they're rolling with these guys. You know that this guy's an NBA player. You don't want to put him on video with the gun. You know your homie got the gun in there. So who's going to pay for that? It's not going to be me, the homie. It's going to be Black America, because he's the famous one that has a lot to lose. I don't have anything to lose. I just roll with you. When are we going to learn? See, and that's what I don't understand. Why do we put ourselves in positions to where you have all this money and then they just take it away from you just like that?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just because they don't care. They don't have, just like you. I'm gonna tell you something. Shaquille O'Neal he might have had the best stories about his father, the father that raised him, the Army Sergeant father, and what kind of discipline and structure that man instilled. I mean, my dad was a Vietnam vet, so he instilled a lot of things in me. I could never get away. Yes, I did a lot of things that might not have been right, but I never did anything in front of a camera or took any pictures, or I don't have an Instagram or a Facebook or any of those things because of that type of stuff. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, and I probably get in a lot of trouble when I say this. I think this generation of parents is probably the worst generation ever born. I mean, I really do. And, my generation, our generation, is partially responsible for that. But it's like, I don't know. Because I imagine when he signed the contract, he being Ja, he signed it by himself. Sure, he had some lawyers to say, okay, yeah, this is going on. Yeah, it looks good or whatever, sign or whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is he's responsible to adhere to the rules. And if he's got friends that are not vested in him, I can't remember who I was watching. I think it was either Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. Smith. One of them was basically saying that Ja's friends eat off of him. Somebody said that. They eat off of him. And you would think that they would be like, okay, we don't want to mess up the money, because we mess up the money or whatever, then that's our money too. Clearly, if they're hanging out, they're benefiting too. But, and it sounds like it's the same guy in question that keeps getting them hemmed up. So it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. I never had those type of alliances with anybody that would get me in trouble. In fact, I just didn't even know what peer pressure was, because I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. I always use the example of hide and go get it. Y'all remember that nasty game that people used to play back in the day?
There was a song by the artist Blue called Hide and Go Get It. Go ahead.
Yeah.
My favorite game.
Well, I remember the game when I had no business playing it. And so when it was everybody's time to go hide, because if y'all too old to know what hide and go get it is, a traditional game of hide and go seek is you hide, somebody counts to 10 and they find you, and then you got to go look for everybody. But this game, hide and go get it, means when you find whoever you find hiding, then you can get whatever you wanted, right? Just to clean it up. But I would hide in the house. They would be looking for me. I'm like, I'm gonna go hide in the house. They never found me. The point is, I was like, yeah, this sounds like an all right game until you get caught, because I heard some horror stories about it. So I was just never one of those people that wanted to get caught. So I hide in the house. So the point that I'm making is, at some point in time, we got to do an assessment and say, are these people really good for me? When maybe it's time for me to evolve and go find a new set of friends. Because let's keep it real, when you're making you getting a certain tax bracket, I'm not saying you got to cut your old friends loose, but you definitely got to rethink some things. Because if you're hanging out with the homies in the hood and they ain't got nothing going on, as they say in the Bible and church, evil communications corrupt good manners. Eventually, you're going to come down to them. They're probably not going to evolve to you. And then you'll end up doing stuff like we see Ja doing. So it's wild. Let's see here. I skipped some comments. I think I did. Did I see this one already? Only Pamela's Way says, let's hope his parents are financially responsible and not let him blow it all. Doesn't sound like his parents are influential over him at all. As Black America said, his mama called him up to the doggone mall because she felt disrespected by a shoe employee, was probably making minimum wage, maybe a little commission. And for whatever reason, she thought the optimal thing was to do was to call her son, who's in the NBA, who's got, things to lose, to come up there and give him the business with the homies. It's like, it's a kid, I'm sure, probably, I don't know, college kid or somebody who don't want that kind of smoke, and what, he didn't answer you the right way. Let's say he didn't answer you the right way. You're not a grown enough woman to say, all right, well, I won't buy no shoes from here. Let me call your manager, call the whatever, complain. But you call your son that would beat him down?
Another successful mother story, huh?
You know what, though, Donovan? Why you trying to be cute and funny and blame the mama? There's a lot of successful mamas.
Absolutely.
Right. So I just want to give some context. There's a lot of successful mamas who do raise good kids.
Yeah.
A lot of the athletes in
LeBron James' mom's one of them. Mm-hmm.
Right. So while you was being snarky, he also has a father.
Yep.
LeBron James' mom almost made it to where he didn't get in the NBA, though, actually.
You ain't lying, because she was taking stuff she was not supposed to be taking, acting like a damn ghetto hood rat and all that other stuff. So you're right. It doesn't even sound like
Kobe Bryant's parents.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't even sound like she was really in his life like that. But when he started to, you know, get up there and start to get stuff, you're right. She almost ruined it for him. She took a $80,000 Hummer from somebody that never really confirmed. But yeah, back then the NCAA, they didn't get paid. And so to take gifts and things like that was, you know, against the rules. But
yeah, well, the funny thing about the NCAA was LeBron didn't go to college. So for him to take that money knowing that he skipped college. Yeah.
He was actually in high school driving that Hummer. What she was doing was receiving all of these gifts from hell, I worked at the Bellagio for a long time here in Vegas. And when they were young, well, his mama was young too. They would be at the Bellagio. They would be at the hotel. Like, I would see him. I'd be like, oh, this is a big kid. And, you know, to me back then, he was a big kid. But they'd be taking trips. She was taking cars and jewelry. And the thing that really got them in trouble almost were some jerseys or something like that. It was like some signed, like, autographed jerseys or something like that.
Yes.
No, but the thing is, like I said, you have these, and this is just what I'm saying. You've got these moms that are very involved with their sons once the sons makes it, and and I'm not saying it's just the moms, the fathers do it too, but it's more so the mothers than it is the fathers. They put the sons in positions to where they can lose it all. When I say like the fathers, like, okay, when you look at let's say Steph Curry's father, former NBA player, knows what he needs to do. Steph Curry's mother, you know, doing all this other stuff, whatever they're doing, whatever the deal is. But like I said, when it comes to getting that bag, why are we not? Let's get the bag first. You could be a gangster after you make the money. That's what I'm saying. That's what I would tell them. Hey, we can do all that after. Let's get the money, because a lot of people think this money's guaranteed. There's no contract where the money is guaranteed no matter what you do. There's always some kind of clause in there, like you can't ride a motorcycle. You can't, you know, do this. You can't do certain workouts or whatever the situation is. So nothing is ever guaranteed. But in our ignorant minds, we think, oh man, they got a guaranteed contract. No, nothing's guaranteed. There's things you have to abide by for that contract to be honored. And if you're not doing it, they can just say, you know what, we're done. See you later.
Yeah, so I mean, it's also learning how to follow the rules wherever you are. You know, a lot of times I think too, because, you know, you think back to the time of Magic Johnson and all them when they was playing. Of course, they didn't have these big giant contracts and all of that. They really played basketball. Now it's, you know, a whole lot of other stuff involved. They knew how to adhere to the rules for the most part. I mean, I'm sure they got in trouble. Of course, social media wasn't out then. But I think a lot of times these kids, you know, because that's what they are essentially. They get this big giant contracts and all this money, and somewhere they think I'm invincible. I'm King Kong. Who gonna check me? You know, that type of thing. And they don't, for whatever reason, they have a hard time understanding you are replaceable. Are you the best to ever do it right now? Yeah, you probably are. But there's somebody else that's going to come along and it's going to be the hottest and the latest and can jump and run and all that stuff better than you. So it's like, why squander that opportunity? And time again, we've seen people learn the hard way. You are not invincible. You are not more special than anybody else. You know what I mean? And the other thing too is, we know that the NBA, they have some of the most staunch rules, right? And so they also have what they call it, a moral clause, a morality clause, or whatever that is. It's not very moral of you to be running around flashing guns. Your mama calling you up to the store, beating up people and flashing guns at 17-year-olds and all that. And somebody else said too, his mama also in the club, you know, turning up bottles and stuff with the homies. Is like, Are they? Is his mom and dad married? I guess I'm confused about that. Are they still married? Like, what's going on here? But at some point in time, and this is why I say he's a lost cause. I just don't think he wants to get it. And there's other people who will be looking up to him, thinking, well, if the NBA lets him do it, shoot, they'll let me do it too.
Right. And you got to think about this. A lot of people talk about, like, remember that commercial with Charles Barkley, I'm not a role model? I agree with them wholeheartedly. He's not a role model. Demetrius K says it all the time. We should be looking at our parents as our role models and how we're being raised and whatever. If you look, when your child is looking to somebody else to be a role model, the problem is the parent. But think about this. I don't care what athlete says they are not role models. You can say that all day long. When you see a kid wearing your jersey, that kid is trying to emulate you. That adult who's got your jersey on says, oh man, I like the way this guy plays. You are a role model in some form or fashion. You might not want that mantle, but it's the mantle that's been put on you. And the NBA, NFL, whatever, they have these rules because it's a private product. And they don't want to be associated with stuff like that. So I know everybody's, oh, let him do this, and he has his own free will, whatever. When you go to an employer, and most employers say, you can't come to this job smoking weed, even though it's legal. You can do it now, right? Can you go to your job smoking weed and be high? No, they're going to test you. So why aren't you guys saying that there's a problem with that, but Ja Morant doesn't have to follow the rules of the contract that he signed? I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
I think they need to start kicking these people out, because how else is anybody going to learn if they don't see anybody have any real consequences? If you give him $200 million and then he gets to screw up and keep 100 or 150 million of it, what does that actually teaches somebody? Okay, you know what? Make it to the top. Once you screw up, you'll still be rich. None of us ever, make $100 million unless you invent the new super soaker or something of that nature. They need to start taking everything away from these people once they screw up. Hell, they do that to felons. A felon can't even vote, for a certain amount of time. You can't have a firearm or anything like that. You need to start making examples of people. I don't care if they white, black, or in anything in between. Need to start making examples of these so-called role models and see what effects that it might have.
I totally agree with you. Al, what's on your mind?
Hello, everyone. How are you? Let me just say this much about the NBA. As most of you know, back in, I think it was in 2004, they had the Malice in the Palace, and it caused a lot of controversy. So the NBA commissioner at that time, he set a precedent. Hey, we can't have our players going into the stands, because it was a big lawsuit. It's a documentary on Netflix about it. And on top of that, they set a dress code for the players. You can't be walking in here sagging pants with your gold chains. They had to start dressing a little decent because they were in that environment. And so y'all were talking about the NBA mothers and their sons. Well, I'm going to give you a few examples of the mothers that are doing well. Back in, it was in 2008, there was a game with the Celtics and the Cavaliers. LeBron James' mother stepped on the court when he was in the middle of the fight. He told her, sit your ass down. And she done it. You haven't heard a peep out of her since then. Shaquille O'Neal, he's on TNT. He's doing his Shaq and the Fool. Every week he's doing something about JaVale McGee. His mother told him to stop making fun of that little boy. Shaq stopped it. He ain't did one on him since. So the mothers do have an influence. Ja Morant's parents are not doing anything to stop him. He's wearing gold grills. He's acting stupid, garnishing a gun. And I'll say this much. The NBA wants the players to stop with the nigger shit. The nigger shit. You can get mad all you want to. We don't want you in here golden grills. We don't want you in here sagging your pants. A lot of them are lazy. They come into camp out of shape. Their body language. And Deion Sanders said it best. When you look good, you feel good. A lot of them coming out with that nappy hair. They eyes all red. They don't get no sleep. If they want the NBA to get to where they ought to be, just look at LeBron and Steph. They're never in any trouble. Their money is always rising. The game is expanding, and people want to be around them. That's what's gonna keep these men in the league.
They're married. That's the difference. Those two men that you named are married. Most of the young men are not married. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, and even if they weren't married, here's what a lot of those NBA players can take from them, even though they are married. A lot of those NBA players, 90% of them love white women. Steph and LeBron ain't got to worry about that kind of shit because they got some black women on their side to keep their ass in line. And even if they didn't, they still had black parents that they listened to. Most of those players got white girls. And look where it leads to. It doesn't lead them to anywhere. The game sucks. And they just don't. And the NBA is just heading into a total disaster. Regardless of whether they're single, dating, or married, they still got a black woman in their life, and I love it. That's the key.
Yeah, well, think about this though, Al. His teammate Devin Booker. What did they say at the end of the season? At no expense are we going to re-sign this guy. Why? Because he wanted to play the Dennis Rodman bully role, which really incentivized the other teams to like beat the team up. And this guy was with the team I think he's been with that team for he's on a rookie contract, 4 to 6 years. He's been there about at least 4 years. And now he might be playing in China next year because he's so toxic that bad boy hardcore image didn't really work for him in regards to his career. That's what I'm saying. Who told this guy to talk smack to LeBron or whoever he was playing against to incentivize them to play? And now, instead of getting an extended contract, and he was a pivotal part of their defense, his defense was fairly decent. Now he's basically going to be out of a job.
Well, if you got a lot of negative energy in your organization and at your workforce, you don't need to be in there anyway, because all you're going to do is just lower the morale with the other guys that do want to play.
And like I said, sports, I don't know a whole lot. I will admit a lot of the sports stuff I do know is because of Al. He tells me all these things about sports. So, I know a tiny bit. But yeah, even if it's not sports, it's like, at what point in time do you just want to do better? Now, I get it. There's an allure of, I guess, the gangster lifestyle. If you grew up in our era, we grew up in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, the front end of the 70s, 71. And grew up in the 80s. And then we heard a lot about the crack era, the gangsters, and, living in Southern California. I mean, you really heard and knew a lot about it. As stepbrothers who was Bloods, I mean, like they was, and so I think of gangsters in that sense, like they was really kind of scary, right? You didn't want to be wearing the wrong color, Black America. I know you could, speak to this more than me. But the stuff that you see now is like, is it gangster or are you just stupid for no reason? I know, being a gangster back then was stupid as well, fighting over territory you didn't own. But it's like, what's really going on here? Are they gangs? Like, what are they doing? Because I understand they call what they call like drill music, where I guess they're talking about taking each other out. I don't know if that's what NBA YoungBoy is doing, because that's what he was listening to. But I don't know if you get that kind of money, why would you even want to engage in that kind of stuff?
Well, the real gangsters don't even listen to drill music. Like, guys, my age or our age, no, we don't listen to that stuff. The thing about it is the mentality of these younger, they don't even call them gangs no more. They call them cliques, and you go to people's houses and don't have parties. You have something called a kickback. It's like everything done changed, and it got real demented. Like these kids are crazy, and it's because nobody. I remember going to school and a teacher could beat you up. Like you could get beat up by a teacher. You could get paddled by the principal. Somebody, you was gonna catch them hands from somebody if you was disrespectful. And then when you got home, you was gonna get another knuckle sandwich. There is no more accountability. Just like Donovan said, the father is nobody to straighten this dude out. There's nobody to take him in the back of the woodshed or in the garage and hem them up.
Well, a lot of these corporations, the NBA, NFL, and the MLB, they're not putting up with their bullshit. They look what the Cowboys did with Dez Bryant. They knew he was a derelict, and they had someone follow him around just to keep him in straight. And then after a while, they got tired of him and they cut him loose. And so the NFL, they used to have like this mentor camp with Herm Edwards, where he would tell the young brothers, stay your ass out of the news, save your money. You don't always have to be in a strip club. You don't always have to be swanging and banging and all that old dumb shit. It's okay to speak well. You can cut your hair, but they're not doing that. And a lot of these guys, they don't give a damn. And so if you're you got $100 and some million contract and you're on the precipice of losing it, fuck it, you should lose it. You should lose it. Hell, get that money away. Shit, you get technicals, you get suspended anyway, so just give it away. And they have a draft today, got young kids coming in, parents behind them, in their ear. They ain't gonna fuck that money off. A lot of them don't care, and why should the viewers? That's why their ratings are low.
Yeah, have you noticed like when those guys finally do mature and they realize everything that they had thrown away, like you said, Dez Bryant. How long has he been trying to get back into the NFL? He had his opportunity. How long has he been trying to get back? Now he realizes, oh man, I got, this, that, I blew it, and he's trying to tell the younger guys that are making the same mistakes as him, don't do this, whatever. And, they keep trying to come back when they realize, I think there was a 30 for 30 sports program, if you guys remember that, where they said 70% of Black athletes go broke within 5 years of ending their professional careers. 70%.
But just so I can put a disclaimer out there, for the sake of YouTube and the family friendliness, we want to leave off the F word a little bit, Al, a lot bit.
Yeah, but but think about that: 70% of these athletes, and most of the athletes that were in that special were mostly Black athletes. I think there was like maybe 4 or 5 white athletes. But then look at it like this. And especially in the NBA, when you see that white guy that's sitting in the NBA that sits like a bench player, he's just a role player, you never hear about that guy going broke, and he's making league minimum. League minimum. I mean, how is that happening?
Once again, it comes back to the family structure. A lot of the younger men, I don't know. I do know what happened to the family structure, but a lot of coaches. LeBron James still made it to the NBA because he had coaches. Steph Curry, because his dad, he was a legacy player. It's a lot of legacy players. Isaiah Thomas Jr. You got legacy players. Who LeBron James kids are about to come into the NBA. You have legacy players, and then you have people that just have no moral fiber. They have no vision board. They have nothing to look forward to. It's like herding a bunch of cats, is what I would want to say.
It's at some point.
Go ahead.
I think at some point, a lot of those parents, they're going to get fed up with their kids. And I think those professional sports institutions, they need to do a better job when they're doing their background investigations, when they're scouting. Hey, if you got any kind of blemish on your record, we're going to mark you off the board, and that's going to make your draft prospect go down. And then that maybe that'll keep these young men that are trying to get into sports, give them something to think about. Hey, maybe I don't need to be speeding. They just had an NFL prospect. He's supposed to be ranked number 2 or 1. He dropped all the way down to 8th or 9th. So the lower your draft prospect goes down, your money does too. And so they need to do something. And if the parents can't do nothing, then the laws will.
Yeah, I think I knew you talk about that guy from Alabama. He was a defensive end or something. He got arrested and he had weed. He went down and bought some weed with his friends in a car. And then his friends didn't cop to the weed. They said it was him. And I think it's on YouTube. And the boy is just crying. And the police recognized who he was. And they were like, well, we're going to try to work it out. And he's like, please don't call my coach. You got to let me go. He was just bawling. And then, like you said, his draft thing just dropped. Because I guess when you get selected, if you're not in, depending on what sport it is, I know in the NFL, if you're in the top 10, those contracts are guaranteed. There's a minimum rookie contract that's guaranteed. So you're in there. But he was just bawling his eyes out. And once again, he's with his buddies. They went down to Florida to pick up some weed. And he's the driver. Now, a lot of people don't know this. When you're the driver and your friends in the car don't cop to the stuff, it's automatically assumed you are responsible for everything that's in that car.
And the other thing, too, is a lot of times with those athletes, and they get in a lot of trouble, like you said, the Dez Bryants and all of those people, the team and everybody, they stick together to just save them from going to jail and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, we might need to see a few of them go to jail and, do they 30-30 from the jail cell or whatever, 30-30 going to jail edition. So other athletes coming in there can say, well, damn, I could go to jail too. All these people aren't going to come together to PR the team to save me from that. You know what I mean? I think in some cases they're not doing them a good service because it's like you're keeping them from getting what any average Joe would get if they even did, 1/10 of the things they did. And they go on, they have these great careers, they make all this money, but it's like you might need to be inside for just 30 days or something so you can see that it's real on these streets.
Well, wait, Dimitri, remember that video by Eazy? We Want Easy? They hemmed Easy up, and Ice Cube was like, "Don't worry, homie, I got the hookup." And they did the show live from the Compton jail.
Thank you, Rory. You say, I don't know what that means, but thank you for thank you for the donation. Love and appreciate you for that. Let's see
when I
go ahead.
When I watch sports and from one season to the next, I'm always thinking to myself, who's the next person to get in trouble? Who's the next person to get in trouble? Are they gonna, when they have a break in between, are they gonna get on a plane and go to Vegas? Or are they going to sit at home and try to work on their game? I was watching NFL a few years ago, and there was a guy in the league. He played on the Bengals. His name was Vontaze Burfict. They kicked him out of the league. They gave him a lifetime ban because he had 8 incidents where he was trying to purposely hurt people. And so he'll never be able to get back into the NFL. And that's what these leagues need to start doing. If we can't hurt you, through just suspending you, fining you, we'll just kick you out and never let you back in. And so those parents that have those kids that want to do well, give them a talk. Let that teaching and education start at home. They can have a prospagnosia where they don't even recognize a face. That's what that is, prospagnosia, when you can't recognize people's faces. Have that in front of you. Hey, all I see here is my future. And that's the only thing that's important. And if they don't see that, then we're going to continue to see the Ja Morants and the Dez Bryants and all the other stupid stuff.
Come on with the big words. You say prospernosis?
Yeah.
Hey, only Donovan and I know what that means.
Yes, but that also brings me up to Sha'Carri Richardson. Now, I don't know if you guys been watching track and field. She was in Nairobi, Kenya, and she just ran a 22 in the 200 meter. Now, notice she got rid of the stripping clothes. She got rid of the weave and all that other stuff. Well, she had, braids. She just got rid of the weave, whatever it was. She had braids on, whatever. I mean, she looked like she's taking care of business now, because look at all the foolishness that she was involved with that was really distracting her from her craft. Now she's getting back into shape, and Demetri is a big Sha'Carri Richardson supporter, and she's young, and Ja's young too. But we're going to say this though: she could make a comeback, and she's making that comeback. She's avoiding the press. She's doing everything to stay focused. Now this guy was warned already once. Now he's done it again twice. I hope he gets another chance. But after that, I would just call it a wrap. But just to bring up Sha'Carri Richardson, that's another example of getting too much into the streets and that whatever life that was to stick away from your craft. Now she's getting more focused. I mean, she ran a 2.2. That was pretty good.
And and I want to ask you guys this question here in just a second. I mean, like you said, I like Sha'Carri Richardson. She's young. She's is improving or whatever, but a lot of that she was doing was an homage to FloJo. FloJo dressed just like that, the nails, as you say, the stripper outfits and all that. So she was doing that in homage. Now, of course, Flo didn't have all the tattoos and that she didn't smoke weed that I know of. But I believe that people should have a chance to evolve without the things that they've done or whatever following them for the rest of their life. Sounds like Sha'Carri is on the up and up, so I'm glad to hear that. So, Ali, how you doing? I want to ask you guys this. He says, as part of this conversation that isn't being talked about, is if the head coach of Memphis was a black man, they'd be dragging him, saying he can't control them boys, Dylan Brooks and Ja Morant. What do you guys think about that? Al, I'll go you first, Black American, and Donovan.
Well, I think it's a bunch of malarkey because, as usual, we're going to play the race card. It ain't got nothing to do with the white coach and all of that. That's Ja's responsibility. That's his accountability. He's going to have to change his image. It wouldn't matter if the coach was Asian. He was still going to do the dumb stuff. If it was a black coach, he'd probably take advantage of him. Oh, I can get away with it. Oh, he's a little lenient. So that has nothing to do with it. I get to Donovan's point. Look at Brittany Griner. Look at all the stuff that she went through. Have you seen her lately? She has cut her little dreads because she never rolled them up and kept them greased. She has a nice haircut. Your image matters. You want to stay in the league, you want to make money, you got to change your image.
Black America.
The problem with the white coach thing is most of the coaches in the NBA, NFL, all major sports are white. It's very seldom you run across a black coach. And so, I mean, to me, that conversation is almost a non-starter. I mean, he's a screw up. Like, it's not, he's 23 years old. Like, how long do, they give boys in the state of Nevada, 15, 14, they'll give you a life sentence over here. They'll put you right in jail and they'll throw away the key. They don't care. So we can't, you have to be responsible for, just like the other gentleman said, you got to be responsible for your own image. And be held accountable for the things you do. I'm a person that's been to prison. I was held accountable. I accepted it. I understood, and I never went back. Some people get out for a weekend and go right back. You have to be responsible and held accountable. for the things that you do. That's all I gotta say.
Donovan.
Well, we know that when the sports media does get involved, they do use and use the race card to show an example of us men not doing what we need to do. You know, oh, we're all animals, or look at how they all act. They just let their kids roll up and do whatever they want to do and all this other stuff. Remember, Allen Iverson, him and Brown, Coach Brown, in that situation, you know, they made it seem like Coach Brown, who was a great coach, that, you know, oh, he can't control Iverson. And, you know, they made it seem like the coach was not the problem. It was the uncontrollable Allen Iverson. Let him play the way he wanted to play. And it was like, eventually they got rid of the coach because they saw the talent was more so than the coach's greatness. But they're always going to use that wedge to put the narrative of shut up and dribble the ball for us. Just shut up and dribble the ball, period. If it was a black coach, okay, even a better example, a few days ago, the coach in Phoenix, he won Coach of the Year last year and they fired him. They just fired this guy. He won Coach of the Year 2 years in the 4 years he was at with the Suns. He had a record of like 194 over 120. And they fired him anyway. If that was a white coach, he would be unfireable. But it's a black coach. He didn't win. You got to go. So yeah, they're always going to use that as a wedging point to hold us accountable for what these so-called grown men are supposed to be holding themselves accountable to.
Yes, indeed. It has been a very spirited. Hello, Easy. How are you doing this fine evening? It's been a very spirited conversation. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on and talking about sports as it's kind of, you know, over my head or whatever the case is. But do y'all each have anything in closing to say that could potentially help Mr. Morant? And Al, people want to know why are you so fixated on his hair or black hair or Britney's hair or whatever? You don't have to answer that, but I'm just throwing it out there. So what advice would y'all give to Ja Morant that could help him think differently? And do you guys think he's a lost cause?
Okay, I'll run at this one. The hair. When someone sees you, how you present yourself is how they perceive you to be. The hair is very important. If some young black man comes to me with dreadlocks and tattoos, he's not getting hired, because I'm going to say that he's not responsible enough to drive one of my $200,000 trucks. You're not responsible enough. You can't even keep your hair cut. It's ridiculous. So being presentable is huge. And the thing to help that young man is he is going to have to, if he does stay in the NBA, which I don't think he should probably stay, or they should banish him for a while. If he does stay in the NBA, he's going to need to change friends. He's going to need to change locations. He's going to need to change everything about his life, because once you start heading down a road, it's like Luke going to the dark side and fighting Darth Vader. It starts to be too insurmountable to come back. It's some things you just can't come back from. He's going to end up getting hurt, or he's going to end up hurting somebody, and then it's going to be all the tears and the I'm sorry. And it should have never made it that far, but he doesn't see that because he can't make the right decisions. He needs a babysitter, and no grown man needs a babysitter. That's all I got to say.
As far as the hair, you're absolutely correct. I mean, gosh darn it. How old do you have to be to someone to tell you, hey, cut your hair? Your appearance does matter. Let me tell y'all something. The other day, last week, I walked into my mom's house, and Donovan, my left shoe was untied. I didn't even know it. Do you know my mom got on me like I was a 4-year-old? And you know what? It was because she held me accountable. Look, you're a representation of me. and your grandfather and everyone else. So all that stuff matters. So if you want to walk around here sagging your pants, gold grilling, do-ragging, coming into a professional environment where they're paying you an enormous amount of money, and you taking it for granted, they're going to take it away from you. And then you're going to be sitting at home wondering what them white folks did, and you can pontificate on it all you want to. So Morant, he needs to change his image from the inside out.
Yeah, I agree. And I know, everybody keeps forgetting your first impression of somebody is what you see. That's your first impression. And I know a lot of ladies saying that's discrimination. People are saying that's discrimination and hair is no big deal. Well, ladies, if hair is no big deal, why do you guys spend so much money on it? That's just a question. If hair's not such a big deal, why aren't y'all running around with y'all natural hair and just letting it go out there? No, because you guys know your appearance is important. You want to attract a man or give a certain impression of who you are as a person. It's important. It is that important. So even for a man, it's the same thing for men. We're not saying you can't have dreads. It's how it's presented. It's how it's presented. Like right now, there's a rumor that they're saying that Cam Newton, one of the reasons why he might be out of the NFL is his appearance, because he has real dreads, the ones that mash together, and he just washes it and lets it go. So appearance does matter. But do I think that he is a lost cause? I don't believe anybody's a lost cause. But here's one thing that we know that is undefeated. It's father time. And as an athlete, it is very rare to be a 30-year-old rookie in the NBA, the NFL, and whatever else. So his prime years are now. And if he doesn't get it together, he's not going to be coming back to the NBA if they throw him out and he continues to do what he needs to do, because you only have so much time to make that max money. Right now, Draymond Green wants a maximum contract. Draymond Green is in his 30s, 32 years old, a Golden State Warrior defensive player. He isn't one of the Splash Brothers. He wants one. The chance of him getting it is slim to none. Klay Thompson, a Splash Brother, he is due for a new contract. It ain't going to be a max contract because father time is undefeated. So appearance does matter. And this young man, I don't think, he's a throwaway, but the point is there are so many talented people trying to get into the NBA that he's replaceable. And if he doesn't realize that, they're going to show him.
In closing, let's see, this comment says, Ali says, lots have perception in America, but that isn't indicative of everybody. I took my locks out this year and did 2-strand twists. It's a different look, but we don't all have to conform to the same cut. And Easy say, I agree. It's this sick culture. Well, I guess I'll jump into the appearance debate. I often tell you guys about when I worked in corporate America. I had my hair natural, and it was like the picture that Donovan has there. That's actually a real picture of my hair. It's just a cartoon drawing. And I had to assimilate to be more presentable, if you will, to corporate America, which we also say is kind of white America, right? And so while I love my natural hair, I would never have anything other than. I do understand that when you are wanting to do certain things or working for other people, whoever that is, you're going to have to do what they want you to do. You know what I mean? And that's why it behooves us as Black people to start our own businesses or whatever the case is, and we can wear our hair the way we want. But I've been in business a lot, in sales a lot. And the number one thing they tell you is about first impressions. People judge you on your first impressions. How you look. I'll give you a perfect example. You cannot be a fitness coach and you weigh 400 pounds. Because the first thing somebody going to say to you is, are you sure? Are you sure you can tell me how to get to my fighting weight? So I guess I get where you guys in the comments are going about the discrimination, because yes, traditionally Black people have been discriminated against our hair, right? It's unprofessional, those type of things. But then there's the other side of it. Is like, if you want to work for them folks, you're going to have to do what them folks want you to do. Otherwise, go start your own business or whatever. And, let's be real. Some of the things we see, as I said, I was a personal banker. And I would see some of the new bankers coming in with tattoos all over their hands and their necks and their feet. And I'm thinking somebody with some real money, if I had some real money, I'd be like, I need to sit down with a personal banker that I don't have to focus on all that going on. And I'm like, why would you even hire somebody who looks like that in the first place? Somebody's got some real money. They want to see a traditional buttoned up banker that looks like they're talking about what they're talking about. Now, I'm not saying a person with tattoos and piercings and all that don't know what they're talking about, but that's another thing for me going there and doing business with that business to have to overcome. Well, damn, they tatted up from the all the way from the feet up, and can they handle my money? Do they know what they're doing? Gosh, I don't want to have to be thinking about that. So I'm just saying, I know we live in a day and age where people are kind of a little bit more unbuttoned, but those are the things that we have to think about. We just do. So, I have some tattoos, but y'all would never know it unless I show it to you, because I made it a point to not have them all over my body. You'd have to see them if you was privileged enough to see them. Okay. But the point is, I know that even working for myself, I have to interact with people. And the last thing I want them to do is judge me because I got a set of lips or, a name across my neck, or something stamped on my forehead, because we see a lot of that. So, I mean, it's like, how much money do you really want to make? You can hang on to your convictions, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, and try to work in corporate America or anywhere else where they don't want you to have that, or you can maybe do less of it and go get the money. I don't know. So anyway, let's see here. I'm gonna read the rest of these comments, and we're gonna get. I do got some tattoos. My first tattoo was of my daughter's name. Okay.
Show them the Superman one on your chest.
No, I don't got one of those. The other one is an Ankh. My mom paid for that for me on my 34th birthday, and the other one is somebody's name. So, I don't know if that y'all think less of me, but yeah, I got some tattoos. But anyway, let's see here. And yes, Easy says, while working for these folks, you got to follow the rules. Yes, indeed. And Rashad, how you doing? He says, I don't have any tattoos. He says, tattoo thug. I don't know about all that. And Maxima, you say, that's what I'm saying. It's a world. You don't have to work with them folks if you don't want to. Absolutely. And you guys know I work for the African Diaspora News Channel, and I am grateful every day that I work for an organization that allows me to be me within some reason, right? I can't just be on there doing any and everything. I have rules that I have to follow too, but I am allowed to wear my natural hair and, have my own personality and things like that. So, that's the power of working for a Black business. Ali says, he says, it would give you a cause to pause for sure. Yep, exactly. Facts not feeling. And Easy says, D, we are too over the top with some of the hair and tattoo. I totally agree with you, and Donovan says, our tattoos and piercings are a detriment to us being hired in some cases. Yeah, you got them all over your face. It's a problem. Asha, yeah, he says, I have no tattoos. God gave me a tattoo called a birthmark. Lucky you. Maximo, he says, you don't have to show your tattoos, but there we go. Having them does say who you are when someone speaks to you. I totally agree with you. And in fact, my feeling says, where is the names tattooed? On my shoulders. And I'm one of those people, I'm pretty much dressed up now, especially in my older age. I try not to wear shorts anymore. I kind of try to cover up just to be more modest and set an example as an older, not old, but older woman. They're on my back.
Let me tell you a funny story.
Sure.
Okay, my oldest daughter is 19, and a lot of guys are intimidated by her because she's taller than every guy she's ever talked to, which has only been a few. So she's 6'2" at 18 years old, and so she was talking to this guy. She was dating him, Donna, for like about a month. His birthday was rolling around. They're on the phone, and she tells him, hey, I know your birthday's coming up, but I've made some plans. I want to take you to see Hamilton, and then after that, I've made some reservations at a steak restaurant. He smirks at her like, she asks him, what's wrong? He says, how come we can't do something that I want to do? She says, look, I'm just trying to get you to open up your mind to do something other than listen to gangster rap and eat crab legs. So what I'm trying to tell you is it's about evolving. You've got to mature. And that's what Ja needs to do. Just mature. I mean, you got the whole world in your hand. And so just take it before they take it away from you.
And on that note, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much, Al, Black American. Of course, Donovan, the recovering Democrat. Sadiq, the Black Yul Brenner. And I am Demetra K. So we will see you guys tomorrow, Wealth Wednesdays with Walt, where I'm sure we'll have just as much fun. We'll open up the link and invite you to come on and speak your opinion. Peace.